Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with NETGEAR. Today's host is Randy Keener. He is their Business Development Manager for Strategic Accounts, and he will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and I'll ask them of Randy at the end of today's presentation. First, however, we are going to hear from Jordan Cooper, their Territory Account Manager for California, Texas, and Hawaii. Jordan, go ahead and take it on over.
Great. Thank you, Julie, and welcome everyone to this NETGEAR webinar. Randy and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come check out what NETGEAR has to offer. Now, for those of you joining us today, we have quite a special treat for you. As Julie had said, today's presentation will be presented by none other than Randy Keener, a man who typically needs no introduction. I was very excited when I saw that he had an opening, so I booked him, and what a treat it is for us today. Now, before we begin, today's topic, as I'm sure you saw, is NETGEAR's Changing the AV World, one switch at a time. So we're going to be talking about how NETGEAR is changing the audio and video market. This AV will apply from anywhere from conference rooms to a stadium and everywhere in between. So if you're in those markets, this presentation is for you. So turn up the volume and prepare to be wowed. Randy, go ahead and give the time to you and take it away.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Julie, thanks for having me as well. Appreciate everyone's time. What I'm going to do is go through a number of slides, and then, as Julie mentioned, you can ask some questions, and we'll have a question period near the end. As Julie mentioned, my name is Randy Keener, a Business Development Manager for Strategic Accounts. I've been with NETGEAR for about 7 years now. Prior to that, I was with Hewlett-Packard's Network Division for 28 years. So have a vast amount of experience in large projects and things like that. Over the past 3 or 4 years, I've been working with the AV over IP market. And I want to give you a little bit of background on kind of what we're doing from an AV perspective. As technology from an AV market is moving over to IP switches, we felt necessary that we wanted to get involved in that market, because just like voice over IP a few years back, things started to converge. And so if you look at a network now, every device these days has an IP aspect to it, whether it's cameras, access points, refrigerators, whatever, LED lighting. So probably about 5 years ago, one of the things we had done was we attended the ISE AV show in Amsterdam, and our product line manager actually had met a number of companies that were looking to try to standardize on the AV over IP technology. So after those conversations, they all got together and formed an alliance called the SDVOE Alliance, which is Software Defined Video over Ethernet. And with that, we ended up actually taking some of our layer 3 switches and developing the ability to do multicast traffic and do it over the IP switches in a manner that really is conducive to that type of market. When you get into video streaming and high quality video, you want to make sure that the streams are good, because you'll get artifacts and things like that. So it's not a good experience. But we've been part of that alliance. We're one of the founding members, and we've added a lot of different companies that you're probably aware of in the marketplace. So I'll talk a little bit about that in my presentation. So let's go to the first slide. Yeah, one of the things that we've done from a business perspective is we As you're aware, NETGEAR's been in the network business for probably about 25 years. We do have 3 different lines of business. We have our retail product set, which probably most of you have products in your home, whether it's wireless routers, access points, extenders, things like that. Then we also have a group called the ISP, or business unit, and they provide cable modems, wireless mesh, Wi-Fi products that are sold to high-end carriers such as AT&T, Infinity, and things like that. And then we have the commercial organization, which both Jordan and I are members of, and we really focus on 3 or 4 different product categories. We have a storage line of network attached storage devices. We have LAN-based wireless products, and we also have a cloud management technology called Insight and Insight Pro. Those are a lot of product categories that, if you're not aware, probably reach out to Jordan, and we can bring in some engineers to kind of walk you through some of those technologies as well. The 4th product set is actually our switch line, and as you're probably aware, we have switch products from unmanaged 8 ports all the way up to 100 gig switches these days. So after we started looking at the AV market, we noticed how quickly it was growing. So we looked at our product portfolio, we looked at our support capabilities, our partner programs, and actually brought on a number of industry expertise. We brought in an OEM manager, Devin Kress, who works directly with the manufacturers of audio-visual products such as Crestron, Blackbox, Christie Digital, and a number of others. We also added a number of business development folks. So I moved from the IT organization over to the AV group probably about 3 years ago. Then we've also put together a number of partner programs that are AV focused. So when you go on our website and you actually register for to become a partner, you have 2 different categories you can choose from, either the IT side or the Pro AV side. So one of the most, probably one of the best attributes and resources that we've brought together is our Pro AV Engineering Services group. Now, this is a global group. We've got about 12 engineers that man this service on a 24/7 timeline. So if you're actually working on a project on a Sunday at 3 in the morning for some reason, we actually have folks either in EMEA or APAC that can assist with this. Now, if you're, for example, if you have an RFP and you're looking for requirements and a design, our engineers will actually kind of sit down with you, understand the requirements, provide bill of materials, Visio diagrams, provide any type of architecture guidelines, and also configuration templates. This is a free service, and it's for Pro AV partners, and it's not open to the IT partners. So when you talk to one of these engineers, they're very versed on the AV market. So if you're discussing Dante or QSYS or AVB, they're not scratching their head to try to understand what that is. We've also provided a 24/7 email address that you just send an email out. We respond to that within a couple hours. So we'll set up calls and things like that to go through your requirements. one of the nice things too, if we're assisting with your design when you're commissioning it, you know, if you're on site and you have your engineers or technicians out there, they're more than welcome to, you know, send out an email or call our guys directly that help with the design and really assist you as you're deploying this stuff. We want to make sure that your customers have a good experience as well as you guys as well. As I mentioned earlier, we've worked with quite a few of the industry manufacturers, and I won't go through all of these, but a number of these are SDVOE Alliance members, and some others like Crestron really aren't part of the Alliance, but we still provide gigabit standard-based products that they've certified. So all of these right here have our products, they've tested it, they've certified them, and they've actually put those certifications and recommendations, templates out on their website. We do have, we just introduced an entire new category of switches called the 4250, which I'll talk about. These were actually purpose-built and from the ground up with AV in mind. So pretty neat products that out of all of these, they've all beta tested these. And usually we only have 4 or 5 customers or manufacturers beta test a product, but we had such good reception on this that we actually had 70 different beta test customers. So these products have been hammered out. We've taken a lot of these features and integrated them in based on their feedback. One of the first products that we actually put together a number of configuration features that we've enabled right out of the box. So our 4300 product category is a layer 3 switch. Unlike some of the other manufacturers, there's no layer 3 license that you have to purchase or renew on an annual basis. All those features come with the switch. And as I mentioned, it's layer 3, so it supports OSPF, multicast routing, IGMP, PIM sparse, PIM dense, and then BGP and a lot of other things. We do have a number of different categories. One is for the gigabit products. These are stackable. So you can take up to 8 of these switches and stack them and virtually manage them like they were one switch. We have a number of different SKUs. I won't go through all of these, but we have a number of 24 port and 48 port switches that have 10 gig uplinks. Some are fiber or copper. And again, as I mentioned, you can stack those. There's also a number of SKUs that are PoE capable. If you turn the box around, there's 2 slots in the back. So these power supplies are hot swappable and hot insertable. So if you have an issue with one of the power supply, the other one takes over, you pull it out, and we've got a lifetime warranty. So with advanced replacement. So if you have an issue, you call our support line, they do the RMA, they'll ship you a new box, a new switch, and then you just return the old one. As you can see, there's a number of different PoE budgets based on whether it's 110 volt or 220 volt power supplies. We also provide out-of-band management. So a lot of times in the AV opportunities, they really want to keep them separate from the IT production networks. So, but they still want to manage them from a console perhaps. And we provide that out-of-band management. There's a 1 gig port on the back of the box where you can go in and make changes and things like that, look at statistics without actually going into the switch directly. Again, these are a number of 10 gig switches. We have, let's see, I should move that over a little bit. Sorry about that. We have a number of 10 gig switches that are half width. So if you look at these right here, these are actually half width. They're still rack mountable. There's actually a bezel that comes with it, and then you just tie it back to that switch. So the nice thing about that is you could actually rack mount 2 of these side by side, bolt them, and then if you have the ability or switch, perhaps you have servers that are doing teaming, you could actually team across these 2 switches. So if one of the switches fails, the other one takes over. So we have a number of combination switches. We have a 8x8, so it's 8 10 gig copper and 8 10 gig fiber ports. We have a 12x12, kind of the same thing. And then over here we have there's a 24x24 over here as well. Then we have a number of all copper and all fiber switches. Like I said, I won't go through all of these, but if you go out to our website or if you pull down our data sheets, they're pretty detailed. Again, if you have any questions on these, you want to do some demos, take a look, send out an email to our engineering services group, and we can kind of walk you through some of the configurations and capabilities of the switch. We do that quite often. One thing to note over here, we do have a 16 port all 10 gig copper switch that provides 16 ports of PoE and PoE plus. The M4500 96X over here is a little bit unique, and I actually have a slide for this one just to give you an idea what the capabilities are. And this is where a lot of the feedback from the SDVOE Alliance members came in. And so when we built the 4396, as you'll see in a minute, it's a pretty impressive box. And then we have a number of 100 gig SKUs for kind of the core, or what we call a spine switch, where you can do real large environments. Okay, this is the M4396X. As you can see, it's modular based. It's 2 rack units high, and it has 12 slots in it. The top 6 are PoE capable, and then the bottom 6 are not. And mainly we use those for different capabilities of either fiber or copper. As you notice, there's 4 different blades we can slide into these. The one here on the top left is an 8-port 10 gig copper, and it's multi-speed, so it can actually do these speeds. So you can do 100 meg still, 1 gig, 2.5, 5 gig, and 10 gig. We also have a PoE version of that. It's the one here with the green daughter card on the top. That's PoE, and it's a heat sink. As you're probably aware, when you're running PoE, it does generate a lot of heat. So we need to make sure it's cool. And then we have an 8-port fiber and a 2-port QSFP 40 gig module as well. Where this switch gets very interesting is some of the SDVOE Alliance members, ZV, Broad Data, Black Box, and a couple others actually have provided and built modules that slide into this switch. And what we've done, we've given them the capabilities to access our API, so they can actually put their control software on these boxes, which is pretty cool. So if you have a ZV controller, you can actually add the software in. Aurora Multimedia does the same thing. And they also build an HDMI card for this. They've got a 4-port HDMI input card. Let's see, Black Box is looking to develop a KVM blade to slide in this thing as well. Here's just a picture of our 100 gig spine switches. I won't go through all this, but you can build some pretty good size environments. We actually did a large mall in New Jersey. Actually, it was a Cisco shop, but they couldn't get it to work. They spent 3 weeks trying to get things to run. They couldn't do that, so we shipped them a couple of these switches, and within 3 hours, they had their environment up and running. So there's actually, I think, a 640 by 640, so 640 encoders and 640 decoders on this. So all non-blocking, so pretty cool. One of the things we've done is we've taken IGMP and we actually rewrote IGMP to really help with environments that are multiple switch. Typically, if you have multiple switches in a multicast AV environment, you have to go to a layer 3 protocol called PIM. PIM is very difficult to actually configure. It takes a pretty high-end engineer to do that. What we did was we really want to keep IGMP at a layer 2 to provide that. And when we started putting in some of these larger environments, we ran into issues, and then we tried to go to layer 3, and it was kind of difficult as well. So we had our engineers swizzle IGMP, and what we call it is IGMP plus. In short, if you have IGMP without IGMP plus, what happens is if you're transmitting out through the leaf switch or switch 1, all that traffic goes up to the spine switch, even though none of the receivers on the other end are actually subscribing to that multicast. So what happens is this uplink gets flooded, and so that causes performance issues. And so that's why you need to go to a layer 3 protocol. But what we did was we actually rewrote IGMP, and we have the ability to actually prune off that transmission up if no one is subscribing to that multicast on switch 2. So what that does is it frees up this uplink, so you don't need to have a real large pipe to make sure that you get this. And this is where 4K video comes into play, because 4K video, in some case, you got to do a lot of compression. Now this is where it gets interesting. We just introduced the 4250s. Now, again, we had a lot of feedback from AV manufacturers, integrators. One of the first things we did was we made it a little bit better looking than our IT switches. We actually have a nice front bezel. It's kind of a smoke glass look. It's got some nice colored LEDs. And we actually took, in most IT switches, the cabling is in the front. And what we did was we moved it to the back, and I have a couple slides to show you how we do that. But we've got 4 or 5 different SKUs that we just introduced. We've got a 12-port multi-speed switch that has 2 fiber uplinks. That's this top box up here. And these are multi-speed. So again, these do up to 2.5 gig. And the nice thing about that is we see a lot of AV vendors that are providing real high-end LED displays, and they need a little bit more than a gigabit throughput in order to do that. So we've developed a switch that provides 2.5 gig and then the 10 gig uplinks. And what you can do that, you can just take these fiber ports and aggregate them back here. So you can take multiple, the 4250 with the 12 multi-speed switches and actually run those switch fiber back here to kind of like a distribution switch. And then we have a number of 8-port SKUs as well. I'll go through these. Some are PoE, PoE plus, and then some are PoE plus plus. So we'll have the ability to do 90 watts of PoE power. Now, where that came from is actually QSys. Their control software actually has a a Dell server that we can actually power through the switch, and it required about 80 watts, so we're able to power those servers directly from these switches. Here's what it looks like from the front, and this was this one back here is from the back, so and that's where the cabling is. Now, there's actually two different markings here where you do the rack mounting. So depending if you want the cabling on the back or front determines where you put the rack mounting gear. So you have the ability, again, to do either side. Take a look at that. That's pretty nice, especially we do a lot of business with Savant, and they do a lot of real high-end home theaters, you know, music places, LED lighting, curtains, things like that. So it's pretty sharp-looking switch, if you ask me. This is another slide on the rack mounting gear, so I won't go through this anymore. Another great feature is we have the ability to actually turn the fans off on these. Initially, we weren't going to ship them with fans, but we got a lot of feedback from the integrators that in some cases it might make sense to have you know, the ability to actually set a threshold on the fans. Especially if you start using PoE or PoE plus, again, the switch gets pretty hot. And it depends on where you're putting these switches in your environment anyways, but through software, you can actually turn these fans off, or you can set it at different levels depending, like I said earlier, what your needs are. Even without these fans, we've spent a lot of time really making sure that the noise level on these are pretty low. So if you take a look at the specs on this, most of these are definitely under 30 watts or 30 dB of noise levels. So if you compare that with competitors, this is pretty amazing. And these are great, like I said, if you have them on conference room tables and things like that. This is where it gets interesting. We've actually retooled the software. So if you're, you know, if you're familiar with an IT switch, you go in, you can go through a web interface or you got a command line interface. We've actually redone the configuration capabilities so they're AV looking. And what you can do is we've built templates that you can actually configure, whether it's Dante or QSys or Crestron. We actually have micros that you could just hit a button and it'll go out and actually create those VLANs and provide coloring. Again, these have IGMP Plus enabled out of the box, so you don't have to enable those. We do have the ability on all of those SKUs to have AVB licenses. Those are different SKU. You actually pay for the AVB license. So if you don't need AVB, you just don't buy the license. And we've made it easier too. You can actually, when you get into the configurator, you just cut and paste the license into the switch, and off you go. So we do a lot of business with BiAmp. BiAmp buys a ton of our other AVB switches, but this is a whole new line that they're excited about. And so we did get a lot of feedback from them. This just gives you an idea of what the interface is going to look like. At the end of the day, you just go down to one of these templates, you click on it, and then it'll build a profile for you. It'll create its own VLAN, what the IP addresses are, and then you just tag it to one of these ports. And then you can also dictate what color those ports are. So in this case, an NVX is actually red, the Dante audio is blue, and so on and so forth. And then on the front, the LEDs will be right in the next firmware levels, we're going to add those colors to the LEDs on the front. Here's some examples of the templates that we have in place. I won't go through all these, but we hit most of those. And then this is kind of a quick screen if you want to do this manually. You just go in, identify the template name. In this case, we've got a Dante profile, and we just tag that, save it, and then we assign it to that port. Again, these have lifetime warranties on them, advanced replacement. Julie, that's my last slide, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Randy, for that wonderful presentation. And yes, it looks like we've got some questions for you. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one here. Question here is, can anyone become a beta tester for NETGEAR?
Yeah, what you can do is you can send us an email, and depending on what product line you want to do that, yes, we do that all the time. In some cases, things like this, there's some priorities that we typically have, especially on the AV side, but you know, we do that for our wireless products, our Insight products. We definitely like doing that. Short of that, if we can't get you on those, we can get you demo gear and things like that. We're very good at getting our product out there to make sure that people are comfortable with us. But that's a long way of saying yes.
Excellent. No, I love it. So anyone can get some demo gear from you, right? By emailing you and talking about, you know, inquiring about being a tester, and you can send us out some stuff.
Yeah, and I would work with Jordan, especially on the demo gear. There's different ways you can do that depending on partner levels, and we have a 30-day. You know, you order a switch, you got 30 days to, you know, kick the tires, and you can send it back. No harm, no foul. But Jordan's probably more versed on that than I am, and so we can.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. Next question here for you. For the 4300 models, is there a monthly service charge or fee for layer 3?
No, actually, all the layer 3 capabilities ship with the switch. So all you have to do is go into the command line interface or the web interface, and you can just enable those. So if you're configuring OSPF or you know, PIM or BGP, those features are there. There's no annual license that you have to pay for. So it's free.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. If I could add to that, as we add features too, you just download the new firmware and those features are added in. For example, IGMP, like I said, we enable that right out of the box. So most integrators on smaller environments, all you do is plug the switch in, give it an IP address, and it'll pass, you know, a video streaming right out of the box. But when we developed IGMP, we added that feature. It was free. You just downloaded the new code, and you're off and running.
Thank you for that, Randy. Next question here for you. Do these devices need to be registered to your website for them to work?
Not to work, no. But we really like the thought, you know, if you go out and register these products, it makes us much more effective from a support standpoint. So if you call into our support line, you know, one of the first things they're going to ask if you did register the product. So we kind of appreciate that. And on our Insight cloud managed products, there's a number of ways you can do that. You can actually scan the barcode and it'll go out and register it for you, or you can do that manually. You could actually scan the box itself and register a product that way. Actually, you could even configure it that way. But did I get all that right, Jordan? I haven't played with Insight stuff in a while.
Yeah, no, that sounds exactly right to me. And for any of those who are wanting to do any test demos or anything like that, just work with your account manager who you're working with there at Microcom, and they'll loop me in too as well, and we can get you taken care of. But yep, you're right.
Thank you for that, Jordan and Randy, because that was my next question about how one can go ahead and register. So you definitely answered that. Thank you so much. Next question here for you. Some manufacturers offer an app where we can scan each port and virtually see what is connected. Does NETGEAR have a similar feature?
Yeah, you don't need to scan it. We have a number of ways you can do that. We have a product called NMS, and it's a network management tool. It's based on SNMP, and you can actually manage multiple switches. You can push out firmware upgrades, schedule them. You can, do a number of troubleshooting things. So it'll identify the end nodes. Same with if you get onto the like Insight, if you go out, it'll identify that end node as long as it's SNMP based. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Couple more questions. Can you give us an overview of where NETGEAR is manufactured?
Yeah, actually, none of our SKUs are in China. Once a lot of the tariffs hit the street a few years ago, we actually opened up different manufacturing lines in TAA compliant countries, so Taiwan and Vietnam and a bunch of others. So, but if you're working on a government project and TAA compliance is a requirement, just reach out to us and we can send you the documentation. We can give you the specs depending on, if you're looking for, different certifications, we can provide that. A lot of that stuff's actually on the data sheets as well. So you can take a look at the data sheets, and a lot of that information's out there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Couple more questions. If we wanted to reach out to you for either customer service or technical support, do we go to your website? What do you suggest is the best way to reach you guys for these sort of things, including returns?
Yeah, that would go through our support group. I don't have the number. Jordan, you probably have more than I do. From an AV side, if you're doing designs or you have configuration questions, you go through that proavdesign@netgear.com. But from a support perspective, you can do it either online or a phone number. Jordan, I'll let you answer that question if you've got it.
Yeah, so probably the best way to answer that question is if you have a device by the rare chance that is defective or some port went bad or whatever the case may be, you can reach out to Microcom, and that would probably be the easiest way. Reach out to the person who where you bought it from, or your account manager there, and then they will work with us on getting a return one sent to you, and maybe the next day replacement on these. And so that's probably, I'd say, the best way is in kind of the least hassle. Just reach out to your account rep there at Microcom. Randy, sorry if you had mentioned it. I'm sorry, maybe I had missed it, but now might be also a good time to talk about the warranty. These carry the type of lifetime or limited lifetime warranty that these guys carry on these switches, right?
Yeah, correct. Just like our other lines.
So Yep, there and the mean time between port failures too is quite quite high. You know, I know these switches are generally going to be in the hundreds of years, so it's not known that they ever do fail. You know, and rest assured, a good selling point to say is that these switches will probably last just as long as their business will. So, but if that does happen, yep, reach out to Microcom. We'll get you taken care of, no problem.
And thank you so much for both of you for answering all of those questions for us today. And also, thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view everything again. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate your time and your excellent information today. Until next time, everybody have a fantastic day.
Yeah, Julie, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.